Okay, to try on, to slip on, to pull on. These phrasal verbs are analogs of one phrasal verb, which means to put on the cloth, the put of the cloth, or to slip into, to have on, to throw on, and to sling on. These mess up of phrasal verbs, they mean absolutely similar things. To put on. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, Bilal. For example, if you like this short, please feel free to throw it on before purchasing. Just look at the example. Be advised that the preposition on will stand just before the subject. Throw something on, or to slip something on, to pull something on. The preposition stands after the subject. Is it clear with this one?
Yes, completely.
Yes, Steve.
But slip on in which meaning? I didn't get it.
All these phrasal verbs mean to put on.
Okay.
To throw on, yeah, throw on. Alibek, that's for you, about the pronunciation. To throw on, yeah, okay. Well, the next one is put on formal clothes. We're talking about clothes generally. Now put on formal clothes. Which phrasal verbs do we have here? We have to dress up. To dress up, to tar yourself up, or to doll yourself up. All these phrasal verbs mean a similar thing, to put on the formal clothes. For example, you should dress up properly to fit tonight's ceremony. You should dress up properly to fit tonight's ceremony. You can see that to dress up, this verb actually means to put some tuxedos, or for women, night dresses, and so on. You should dress up. Or you should tar yourself up, or you should doll yourself up. Three variants of the verb, which means to put on formal clothes, tuxedos, or night dresses for ceremonial matters. Am I understood?
Yeah.
Okay, why keeping silence, guys? Please feel free to ask your questions, guys.
Yeah, everything is understood.
Yes, Julia, these words mean the same in all cases. Absolutely right. Just giving them on for the variety that you can feel free to choose from them. Yeah, the next one is fastening your shoes, buttons, and so on. And what phrasal verbs do we have here? To do up, tie up. I think why tie is quite comprehensive, yeah? And to lace up. To do up, to tie up, and to lace up. For example, don't forget to tie up when having your shirt on. That means you should button all the buttons on your shirt. and they'll be called to tie up. Or another example about your shoes. Your left shoe's gotten unfastened. Lace it up. In this case, actually, we can say that the preposition up stands after the subject, it. Lace it up. We can say lace up it. It will be quite strange, isn't it? And we should say lace it up. But when we can talk that to tie up actually about yourself, we can say just tie up. That will mean button your buttons on your shirt and Paul's shirt, so on. Are you clear with this?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay, proceeding. About taking off. Several phrasal verbs. To take off itself. To strip off. To peel off. To slip out of.
That's new.
I'll write them down all just for you to choose. Favorite.
Sleep out of. Yes.
Yep. I will not type it them all.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see to strip down to.
But I have a question. Do Americans use all of them, or just there's a one which is famous to use, or like this?
Actually, Britishers and Americans use them all. Actually, some Americans will use some several phrasal verbs, and other several verbs will be chosen by another states in the U.S. The same in Great Britain.
Yes.
But now I will write them all down for you to choose the favorite variant, just by you. Here they are. To take off, to strip off, to peel off, to slip out of, to slip off, to strip down to rip off, and to tear off.
Mm-hmm.
These all phrasal verbs mean the same thing, to take off. For example, the greatest pleasure is to peel everything off and take a shower. You can use the subject everything, or you can use any subject, or you can not use any subject. You can say only to peel off. It will mean the same. You can say to peel everything off, to peel my shirt off, or just to peel off. It will be the same. Okay?
Yep.
Another example about this. It's pretty hot outside. Don't you want to sleep out of your cardigan?
Mm-hmm.
Double preposition, phrasal verb, slip out of.
And it has double slip into, yeah, when we put on something.
Yes, actually, yes.
So it differs a bit from all the rest.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by then? I can't read that one.
Sorry, it's cardigan.
What does that mean?
Do you know the sweater and jumper in one meaning it will be similar to a jumper and it, I don't know, to sweater, and in the second meaning it will mean that it's kind of jacket, not so warm but not so light. You can Google it up in Google Images.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know how to explain this.
Actually, I got it. Thank you.
Ah, okay.
It's like sweater or jumper.
Yes, to strip down to its question about this. To strip down to means when you're not peeled off actually fully. For example, you're taking off your street clothes just down to your home clothes, just down to your bathrobe, for example, or just to your actual home clothes. It will be called to strip down to home clothes, for example.
Mm-hmm. Like to change clothes.
Yes,
it means,
yes.
Yeah.
From street ones to ones. Okay. Yes, Benedetto, thank you for your explanation. But actually, I cannot be like a Wikipedia or something else. I can speak like this. Type of sweater or jumper that fastens up, and so on. Okay. Clear with this taken off?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, another theme is wearing formal clothes. Not putting on actually, but wearing. I'll give you the example. You are invited to Jack's birthday night. A formal one? No, you can just dress down. It's the dress down phrasal verb. To dress down means to wear informal clothes.
Dress up formal, dress down
Yeah,
informal.
informal. Yeah. Actually, about wearing formal clothes, there is only one phrasal verb, and I think it's sufficient. The next one is fitting into clothes. The most tricky thing. There are also several phrasal verbs. To get into, it's quite comprehensive and simple. To get into, to, and its antonym, to grow out of. They have the opposite meanings. To get into means that you can fit into your clothes. And to grow out of, I think it's quite comprehensive and understandable. Yeah. And to grow out of means that you cannot fit into your clothes.
Yeah, for example, my son has grown out of
Yes.
all his clothes.
Yes. In this example, I have grown out of my jacket. Need to buy a new one. It means that this jacket is quite small for me now. And about to get into. Oh my lord, I can barely get into my pants. In this case, the preposition into stands actually before the subject, because getting my pants into will mean another thing in context, in special context. And in this case, we should use the preposition into just before the subject. And a scheme, verb, preposition, and subject. Is it okay?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, thank you. And the last minute topic in this theme, putting on warm clothes. Phrasal verbs to wrap up, to muffle up, and to be kitted up. To wrap up, to muffle up, to be kitted up. But actually, the phrasal verb to be kitted up is very common in Great Britain and barely used in the United States. It's not widely known in the United States. You can be misunderstood. Because to be kitted up in the US means to be equipped. And in Great Britain, it means to put on warm clothes when it's cold outside. Most common phrasal verbs are to wrap up and to muffle up. For example,
So they're used everywhere in the United States and in Great Britain.
yes,
Great Britain.
either in the US and or in the UK. It's kind of cold wind outside. You should wrap up not to get sick. BRE actually means British English. It's contraction. Okay. That's all with clothes. Any questions about closed phrasal verbs, guys? Why keeping silence? Or are
No,
you
I
very
guess it's
attentive?
okay. Yeah. We are writing down everything.
Yeah, you are a great teacher, so yeah, all is clear.
Okay. Because it's kind of tricky for me just to keep the dialogue with the silence wall.
Then and when you want to say something opposite, not to grow out of, but just when clothes become, became a bit not smaller, but in the opposite way, larger than. So when you lost some weight, so how it will be? How should you
Lose.
say? Yeah.
Mm,
No, when you lost
mhm.
weight, I mean, and something is wrong with your clothes, so you need a smaller size. So,
Grow into.
is there any?
Yes, actually, I missed the phrasal verb. You should use the not the grow out of. You should use the grow into when
Into.
the clothes you
Okay,
have.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
I've just forgotten to type it down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another topic is problems. Well, have problems, we solve them, and here are several phrasal verbs about problems. Okay, first main topic, and when problem happens, what can we say about this? We can say that the problem has come up or has cropped up. It's
To
phrase.
get into troubles.
Actually, trouble is mass noun. It can be counted.
Mm-hmm.
You should use only trouble,
Mm-hmm.
but not troubles. These phrasal verbs to come up and to crop up, they're for problems. When they appear, we can say that the problem has come up or has cropped up. For example, this dialogue, minute dialogue. John, I've scratched your car. I knew these would come up once. Just like this.
Sorry, then I didn't get it.
What actually?
To come up and to crop up. What do you mean by that?
These phrasal verbs mean the same thing. When the problem happens, we can say that the problem comes up or crops
Okay.
up. Just look at the dialogue. These would come up once. These stands for the problem. I know this problem would come up once.
So you may use these words only for something negative, yeah? Come up and
Actually,
crop up.
no. Actually, this phrasal verb to come up has several meanings, and when we're talking about problems,
You may come up with the idea, for example, yeah?
Yes,
Am I
yes,
right?
actually, yes.
And crop up?
And crop up, it has several meanings. Actually, to crop
Sure.
up when you're
Okay,
collecting
okay.
your harvest on the field, you're cropping your flakes or so on, to crop up. But actually, when we're talking about problems, to crop up means to emerge, to appear. Just like this. Already gotten tired. Tired or not?
No. It's
Okay. Because I heard this upset exhaling. Just like this. I've been frightened, actually. Okay, now the main topic is finding a problem. These are several phrasal verbs. To run up against. To run up against, to run into.
Beautiful language. I don't know the speak English.
Sorry.
Sorry,
I
could you
say
please?
beautiful language. I don't speak. I don't hardly speak.
I can barely understand you.
Mm-hmm.
He said
Say it
that.
closer, I can understand you.
The main idea that the language is beautiful, so
Yes, exactly.
everything is okay. Go on.
Okay. Okay.
Just carry on.
Okay, to run up against, to run into, to be faced with, to come up against a problem, so on. To be confronted with. And to contend with. Here they are. To run up against, to run into, to be faced with, to come up against, to be confronted with, and to contend with. When we find that we have a problem, we can say that we've run up against the problem. We've come out against the problem. We are confronted with the problem. Just for example, mates, we're faced to many difficulties within this project. And these prepositions stand, in every case, they stand before the subject.
To be faced. Very interesting.
Yes, to be faced with. Face to face with a problem.
Yes, yes, I understand, but I know there is a verb face too, to face some problems without any preposition. Isn't it right? To face some difficulties, for example. No, it's not right.
It will be. It will be.
So I may use like this, yeah?
Yes,
For
actually.
example, nowadays I'm facing a lot of difficulties, so a lot of problems in my life. I can use like this without phrase, not phrasal verb, just phrase. Okay, okay.
Actually, you can use it, but we have the classical construction of this phrasal verb, but it can be used, several verbs can be used without prepositions. But several phrasal verbs, they have the feature that if you remove this preposition,
Yeah, it changed the meaning.
The sense will definitely be changed.
Yes, yes, I understand.
Okay, good luck, everything.
Everyone, good luck.
Everything.
That was a good.
I'm not think, not yet.
To face with a problem.
Danny, sorry, but I want to ask you something.
Yes, please.
The first sentence that you write, we are faced to or with?
To face to or to faced with, to be faced with.
Yes, which one is right? Or both
Both
of them?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them.
So
to be faced. To be faced to be faced with, and to face.
So I could say
Something.
that just we are faced with many difficulties.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just like this. Just like this. To be faced to be faced with, to face.
Okay.
They all mean the same thing. To have a problem. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
Preventing problems. These are only two phrasal verbs. To guard against and to hedge against. Just an example to be understood. You should guard this against before it really happens. That means that we prevent the problem to happen. Or you should hedge this against before it really happens. Why to hedge against? Actually, the hedge means something similar to the wall, which we build not to let the problem pass.
And to guard, but the meaning is pretty clear.
Yes. Yes. But I must mention this.
Yes, and the preposition is very important,
Yes. Because you can say to guard with. It will have another sense. Or to hedge out. It's kind of, I don't know what. Thinking about the problem. When you're trying to solve it out and when you're trying to find any solutions, these are several phrasal verbs. To talk over. I think it's quite simple. To talk through. To talk through. To talk out. I'm writing them all down intentionally because you should choose one or two of them which you favor more. That's why I'm writing them all down. To think over. Learning all of them is one trick, I think. To talk over, to talk through, to talk out. To think over, to think through, to thresh out, to work through. All these phrasal verbs, all these massive phrasal verbs means that we're thinking about the problem. We're trying to find a solution.
In order
Yes.
to solve it.
Yes.
Okay, I understand thing, but talk over it means that we are discussing something in order to solve, yeah? In order
Yes,
to find
actually,
the
thinking about the
solution.
problem or talking about the problem, it means the similar thing, actually. For example, the case is quite tricky, so we definitely need to talk over it. And not to talk it over, because the over is the preposition which must stand before the subject. Over something.
Over it. And think over it too?
Yes. To think over a problem, to think through the problem, but to thresh the problem out. The example for to thresh out is requested. You can construct this example yourself. For example, this problem is quite tricky and we must thresh it out before solving. That means that we should first discuss it and then try to solve it, because while solving it, we can make some mistakes.
I got the great suggestion, for example, but first I should think over it. Yeah,
Yes.
over it, not it over it.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
think over it.
I got a great suggestion, but it needs being threshed out firstly. That means that it needs to be talked over or thought over, and so on. That's it. To solve this problem, first of all, you need to thresh it out. It's quite a comprehensive example for Alibek and all of you. Actually, Julia, what do you mean informal phrases? these phrases can be come across with at any time in your life. And when we're talking about informal phrases, we're talking about slang.
Yeah,
So,
it's not slang. Trash out.
not,
It's like
yes. Some of the slang phrases are phrasal verbs, but not all the phrasal verbs are slang words. That should be considered. Okay. Dealing with the problem. It has very, very many phrasal verbs, but I will write them all down because they're very different from each other, and you will choose the one you favor more, or two, to deal with itself, to grapple with. To practice these phrasal verbs later, I advise you to build some more examples with all of them, or to choose one of them and to construct with more examples with these phrasal verb you've chosen. To sort out, I think you all know this phrase, to sort out. To iron out, to iron out, to straighten out, to get around. It's quite funny, but it means to deal with the problem, to get around the problem.
Yeah, it may be confusing because it seems that you are going to find some problems.
No, it actually means to iron out.
Yes, I see.
To wrestle with the problem. A very brutal phrasal verb. To wrestle with. And to hash out. Here they are, all of them. To deal with, to grapple with, to attend to sort out, to iron out, to straighten out, to get around, to figure out, to wrestle with, and to hash out. Some recommendations. For example, to get around, you may hear to get around in the UK. To get around in the United States, and to get round in the UK. And to figure out and to hash out. To figure out and hash out, they're very common for the US and not for the UK. They're barely used in the UK, not so widely as in the US. But all of them, except to get around, you can use all of them except to get around, and you will not be misunderstood, either in the US and in the UK. Just for example, when you confront a problem, do not whine, but try to figure it out. That means try to solve it. Try to sort it out. Is it clear? Guys, come on.
Yes, sure.
For everyone. Clear for everyone.
Clear as can be.
Today I want to go to the...
First of all, this word companion is spelled this way.
We date him or what?
Yeah.
And do you consider your companion a problem? Yes, actually, there must be the problem to deal with. To deal with the problem means to solve this problem.
You can wrestle with your companion.
Yes. Actually, that's all for problems theme. Any questions about it?
No questions.
We should just train a bit, to use it. But
It's a bit more practice.
very useful, when I prepare children for this Russian state examination. They have a task with phrasal verb, and
Yes.
you should just put in put this preposition into the text. It's very difficult sometimes.
Into the gaps.
It may be very tricky, to fill the
Yes.
gaps with preposition. And
In some exercises, in some exams, actually you do not have any gaps, and you are supposed to put this preposition yourself. Before the
it
subject
happens
or
sometimes.
after
It's very
the
difficult. It happens sometimes when it's a kind of Olympic task for Olympiad.
Yes, because non-native speakers find it quite tricky to learn all of these phrasal verbs, and but nevertheless, if you'd love to pass FCE or TOEFL exam or IELTS exam, you should know these phrasal verbs. You should do your
Yes, for
best,
sure.
because these tasks are very tricky, but they consider more marks, and just for your vocabulary, it's very useful to know these phrasal verbs.
Yes, even in writing essay, just know a lot of synonyms and how
Just
to
not to let
explain.
your speech being very flat and plain.
Yeah.
To make it more colorful, use phrasal verbs, but you cannot learn all of them. For example, to deal with, to grapple with, you can choose to sort out and to, for example, to figure out, to wrestle with, and use them.
Martin.
Okay, clear with problems topic?
Yeah, thank you very much.
And now it will be eating. Eating. First of all, about eating a lot. There are very many, plenty of these phrasal verbs about this, eating a lot. For example, to pick out, to feast on, or to feast upon, but upon is quite outdated preposition. To feast on, to gorge on, to fill yourself up. Very simple. To put away, and to pack away.
I like to pig out.
To pick out, to face down, to gorge on, to fill yourself up, to put away, and to pack away. These all phrasal verbs mean the same thing, to eat a lot. For example, I don't think it's a great idea to fill yourself up during the meal. It's unhealthy. In this case, the preposition up stands after the subject. The verb, subject, preposition. But actually, you can use it without the word yourself. You can use to fill up. You can use the fill up phrasal verb. You can use to pick out without yourself. But to gorge on, you can use it with the word meal, to gorge the meal on. In this case, the preposition always stands after the subject, the meal. But these phrasal verbs to put away and to pack away, they need no additional subject to be understood. Just to put away or just to pack away. That's okay, isn't it? Clear, guys? Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the remaining topic is eating a little or eating slowly. You can
Chicken
imagine
mouth.
those children that don't love to eat so much and they are sitting at the table, eating very little or eating very slow manners. Yep. These are some phrasal verbs. To pick at, to back at, to nibble on, to toy with, to snack on, and to dip into. Here they are. To pick at, to peck at, to nibble on, to toy with, to snack on, to dip into.
To toy with. Yeah.
Yes, actually these phrasal verbs mean the same thing, to eat a little or to eat slowly. For example, he has too bad appetite. He's just picking at his pasta. Yes. Julia, absolutely right. That baby was snacking on that meal for hours. But actually you should use...
Snacking that meal on, no?
Yes,
Snacking on.
yes, yes. That's a great example, but your preposition must end after the subject. The baby was snacking the meal on for hours. Or you can use it without a subject. You can say, that baby was snacking on for hours. You'll be understood. Another example. Stop toying with your soup till it's cold.
That is the great one.
Yes, stop toying with your soup. Stop eating so slow. That's it. Okay? Okay. The opposite thing, eating very quickly. To wolf down. In Russian, they have such an idiom as hungry as a wolf. And in English, we have this phrasal verb, to wolf down. To gobble up or to gobble down. To polish off. To bell down. It's British variant.
To polish off. Interesting.
Yeah, to polish your plate off.
Yeah. I just thought about Russian, expression about.
Here they are, to wolf down, to gobble up or to gobble down, to polish off, to bell down, but it will be used only in Great Britain and barely in the US. To scarf down is the American phrasal verb. It's barely used in the UK. To scarf down. They all mean to eat something very quickly. For example, he was so hungry that immediately put the meat down.
Layla polish off with double F. And the preposition and polish off. So he polished everything or he polished off everything.
No. To polish everything off.
Everything off.
In this case, yes, you should put your preposition after the subject. Actually, usually the preposition of with double F on the end of it stands after the subject. while the preposition of with one F.
Yes, before, yeah.
Yeah. But not in all cases. In some cases, the preposition of, this one with one F, stands after the subject. For example, I don't have any problems to think of. You can see that?
Mm-hmm. I have any problems to think of.
Because we usually use thinking of problem, thinking of you or someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And in this case, I don't have any problems to think of.
Just
In this
just
case,
not to repeat twice this word
yes,
problems.
yes, yes. Okay, several phrasal verbs about starting eating. To dig in, to dig in, to dive into. Oh, sorry, to dive into, and to tuck in or into. To tuck in or into, but it's barely used in the US. It's a British phrasal verb. To tuck in or to tuck into. Most common ones are to dig in and to dive into. To dig in or to dive into mean to start eating. For example, after the meal has been served, we've dived into it pronto. In this case, the preposition into should stand before the subject. Because actually, we are diving into something. We're not putting this subject into anything, but we are diving ourselves into the meal. Yes, to dive into and to dig in anything. Only before the subject in this case. Because imagine the difference between to put into and to put it into. Or to get. By putting this preposition into. Look at these two phrases, to get into something and to get something into. Could you feel the difference?
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
we see the difference.
Because when you're getting into something, you by yourself, you're getting into something. For example, to get in a car, you are getting into the car yourself. But when you're getting something into, you're just taking something and put it into anything else. Here you can see that the place of the preposition changes the sense of the phrase. Definitely changes. Okay? Is it clear?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Okay, several phrasal verbs about this popular theme, about taking food home. There is the difference between American English and British English. In the USA, you will hear to take what? To take out. And in Great Britain, what do you think? How do they say?
Take off.
No.
Yeah.
To take off means to put up your clothes.
Take away.
To take away, yeah, absolutely. taking food home from a restaurant, for example. Yeah. Taken out in the US and taken away in the UK. Is it understood, guys?
Yep.
You're given too silent. Dreadful silence over here.
No, it's not discussion, it's a lesson. We're thinking
Okay.
over it.
Okay, can we take our meal out? Surely. The usual American situation in a restaurant. Another one, eating at home. Not taking your meal out, but just taking it home. There is only one phrasal verb, to eat in. To eat in. To eat at home or to eat in. For example, let's stay at home and eat in instead of restaurants. To eat in. To eat your homemade meal. Several verbs about serving food in a restaurant and so on. To serve up. To serve up, to dish up. And to lay on. To serve up, to dish up, to lay on. For example, the waiter has served us very promptly. That means that our meal was served up very promptly, very quickly. And in this case, the preposition up stands after the subject us. With another phrasal verb, it will be to lay something on, to dish something up. In all these cases about serving food, the preposition stands just after the subject. Is it okay? Several words about eating a particular type of food. To feed on and to live on. For example, I'm living only on vegetables. Or you can say I'm living on vegetables only, because you can put only wherever you want. Or I'm feeding only on vegetables. That means that we eat only vegetables and nothing else. Is it clear? We are very close to finish it up. Come on, guys. Cheer up.
We're here.
And the last minute topic, to eat all of something. Eating all of something. To eat up. I think it's quite simple to understand. To eat up. Yep. To finish up. Actually, to finish up can be used in by far more cases than in eating. To finish off. To finish off. To polish off, actually. Again, to polish off. And to lick up.
You want to lick?
Yeah. To eat up, to finish up, to finish off, to polish off. For example, to polish your plate off, as I've already mentioned. And to lick up. To lick your plate up. Not literally, actually, but it's just a phrasal verb. For example, her plate was empty. She has finished it up. Look in the chat box. Imran Hader is asking a question. Probably about me. What is my accent?
Chinese.
Yeah,
Isn't that obvious?
Hindu accent. Hey, then. It's like this. Okay, actually, that's all about phrasal verbs, about these topics for today. I'm finished, and I'm looking forward for your questions. Oh, please feel free to ask me a question.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. I'm kind of tired, to be honest.
Wow.
Mhm.
Was it so hard?
Actually, it's not very simple to speak a lot,
To yourself.
especially with the silence wall.
Yeah.
And that
Actually,
No,
it was very
but it's
useful.
very useful, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not good at phrasal verbs, so it was very useful for me. So I kept silent because I was writing down everything.
You're a good student, Belarito.
Yes, I am indeed.
Mike, we can stop the recording actually.